The biggest mistake you can make when you're looking for video production work is to not include your reel in your resume up top, front and center. Now, I can't tell you how many resumes I've seen where the link to the reel or their portfolio is buried at the bottom, and sometimes it's not even anywhere to be found on the resume. You want to put it up at the top, front and center, very prominent, so that the person who's looking at the resume knows exactly where to look to see the work you've done. That's probably the most important thing in video production, is the work that you've done. It doesn't really matter what education you got or how many volunteer hours you put in or all the different places you've worked if someone can't see the actual work that you've done. Once you see that reel, if the reel is good, then the person is likely to go and look and see, okay, well, where did they get their degree? Did they get a degree at all? What kind of work experience have they had? Have they been to and from a bunch of different jobs? Have they only worked a couple? What is the breadth of their experience? But the first thing that needs to be front and center, the very top, if you can send a cover letter, the first thing you should include is, here's a link to my reel. Here's the work that I've done. If you don't have a reel, you need to make one. That is the most important thing. If you're looking to get a job doing video production, film production, graphic design, animation, anything creative, the only thing that really matters is your reel. Now, a few tips about making a reel. Reels should be short, at max 2 minutes. A minute is probably better. Anywhere between a minute to 2 minutes. If you can show off everything you've done in that time frame, excellent. Try not to repeat shots. So if you have a lot of shots that you like from a particular production, don't just use those over and over and over again, because it looks like you've only worked on a small amount of content. The better thing to do is to show just a couple clips from each thing, edit it together in a really nice and presentable way. It doesn't take much to make just basic footage look good, as long as you're following some design aesthetic principles, just making it look nice. Make sure you're not using a weird font or just crazy styles like with flames and stuff. There's some aesthetically pleasing things that you can do to make it look its absolute best. Even if you don't have a lot of experience, that still shows the person that you have some eye for quality, for design, for what we're supposed to be looking for, right? If you're a camera op or an editor or director of photography or anything creative, 9 times out of 10 that involves subjective decisions, and subjective decisions are what is being judged. So if your reel looks like it was just slapped together with some crazy font that stands out, it's not really going to work that well for you, because they're looking to see your subjective judgment, what kind of decisions you make. And if your reel looks graphically and put together poor, then they're going to think that your subjective judgments are also poor. And most of the time, this just comes down to keeping things simple. When you try and do too much, when you try and make an action movie with a $500 budget, it's not going to look very good. When you try and make 3D graphics with no 3D experience, it's probably not going to look very good. And these are mistakes I've made myself, so I'm not saying that I'm not guilty either. When I was first starting out, I tried to overcompensate for my lack of experience. I was very inexperienced at the time. And I tried to compensate for that by trying to make it like it was this huge production that I'd done all these different things, and everything looked kind of cheap, right? Because it was cheap. I didn't have the experience that I needed to actually do these things properly. So rather than trying to fake it and make something that you're not capable of, keep it simple. Be true to yourself, and within that box of confinement, make sure you're following proper design principles of just nice and neat and elegant. That will get you 90% of the way there. You don't need to reach for the moon when you haven't even built a rocket ship yet. Just keep it simple, keep it straightforward, present your work in a nice, orderly fashion. And once you have that reel all put together and it looks nice and neat, make sure that you display it prominently to anyone you're sending it to.